This is to tie up some loose ends, some things that I showed in the class but didn't record, and I'll just go through them again so there is a movie record of what we covered. So looking at the 3D view, I'm going to start with the setting an active plane and using like text on the surface of my model. It's the model text that we're using, not text, not the text object. So the idea here was that you can have objects placed on the face of anything that's in your project. So let me delete that and just show how I went about creating it. So the first thing would be under the architecture tab and on the right hand side here where it says set a work plane. That lets you pick a plane. You could type in PK to go straight to it. And then I can select the plane that I'm wanting to draft on. So you see I picked that plane when it was highlighted. You could also confirm that you did it correctly by clicking on the show button, which shows you this. This is an infinite plane. Modifying this does not make it not an infinite plane. It's just a graphic to indicate that that's the surface that you are working on. When you've finished the operation, you would put the plane back to level 1 so that if you had a team approach to this, you're not leaving this with a setting that might confuse other people. So back to the model, back to the architecture tab, model text. This is the text that you're going to enter. So I can say something like entrance. And I could place this on the surface up here. That text has styles, so you could have like if I just show you some of them, that I do edit type so you see it. There's the text font, there's the size, and the technique is one you'll be familiar with where you can say duplicate, you can call it something different. Let's say I chose a different font from here. These are the ones that are delivered with Windows. So no idea what that is. Blackadder. Looks like that. It looks really pretty horrible. Let me pick it and say edit type and say rename. So I'll put in so that other people would know what it is. And I'm actually going to change the size of that to say just something like maybe 6 inches. So I'll do duplicate 6 inches Blackadder and change that down there to 6 inches. Like that. So this maybe for signage or something like that. That is truly horrible, but you get the idea. Maybe 6 inches is even too much on that, but that extrusion is 6 inches. That would be the technique for modeling on a work plane. And when you're done, you want to go back to say set work plane. In here, you'd say go back to level 1 like that. While this is displaying. You've got like confirmation, and it's only displaying because you've got the show button, and you can turn that off. Next item was to address the issue that you may have something like windows. I'm just going to put them internally here, and I'm putting a window on that internal wall. And if I select it, I can see it in the plan because the cut plane of the plan view is cutting through that window. If I were to move this up, so if I said move that up like to 6, the sill is at 6 feet. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it because under the view range edit, this cut plane is cutting through at 4'6". So it might be in certain circumstances you want to increase that height. It has to be equal to or less than the top plane. But there is another way to do this, and especially useful if you've got, say, a building that the rooms step up a slope, so there's not one fixed height that would run through it. And that option is the under view, and it's under plan views, and it's this thing called a plan region. So a plan region can have its own cut plane. So if, for example, I draw something down here, I'm going to put that in there and say OK. That plan region, if I select the edit here, I could say move the height up to some other height. I'm going to say like 6 feet. Right, so within the majority of the plan, what I'm seeing is one cut plane, but in that area I've got a cut plane with its own value. That boundary that you see does not have to be displayed all the time. So if I said VG and I went to the annotation, this should be it's not view titles. What is it? It's maybe it's under. Sorry, let me do this again. That's called a view range. Okay, so it's either under V here, or it's under the annotation. Okay, not. Okay, my memory is not remembering where that is. Plan region. Plan region. So the category is plan region. So under VG, annotation, P for plan. Oh, there, sorry, plan regions. All right, you can switch them on, you can switch them off. So I can choose not to display it. And I'll just delete that. But that would be how, maybe if I had something like a clear story light and I wanted to indicate where it was, I've got some in there as well. But in fact, let me Control Z and then go and extend that so you can see I had some in there. Okay, so Fiji, annotation, model, annotation P, plan regions. Okay, I wanted to quickly show that when you draw a wall, so I'm going to just do WA. And you could pick any kind of wall from here. I'm going to pick something like, that was what I made, the sloped concrete wall. Let me just pick something different so you can see it. So I'll just start with a generic 5-inch wall, edit type, duplicate, sloped barrier, whatever I'm going to call it. I can go in here, I can look at the material. So I'm going to specify something like concrete. And I'll pick concrete from here. Let me just pick something a bit more sensible. I'll do precast panels. And there's no pattern on it. And I'll say okay. And then what I'll do is I'll modify this to put like a stucco or something on the outside. So in the structure, what I want to do is say insert, move it up. It's not going to be structural, so I'm going to pick some, it's like a finish. And down here, I'm going to look for stucco. With a coarse texture there. Okay, just replace the one that was in my model. And okay. Then I'll do the same on the other side. So I'll say insert, bring this down, finish one. Well, these priority numbers would be less because you're going out, let's say 4 or a 4 or a 5. And down here, I want wall texture, coarse stucco, like that. What did I do there that was wrong? Oh, so I've got these 0, and you can't, the only thing that can be 0 is a DPC or something like that. So here I'm going to give the actual values. Let's go 5/8 of an inch, and let's go 5/8 of an inch. And the concrete panel, let's just assume it's going to be poured. Let's say assume 6 inches. Let's make it wider. Let's make it a foot. Okay, so I could be placing this in my model. This is just the beginning of what we're going to do to show how it can be sloped, but I'll put it like that. I'll put a camera so we can see it at the same time. That's our wall there. I might just say align to that face, this face. So I'm just moving it back to that location. And what I want to show is this: when you've got a wall or a floor, when you're looking at this, this wraps. If these are checked on like this. Oh, sorry, it's variable. It's not. It's variable. It needs to be checked on. Oh, okay. I got it. So the wraps means that it'll wrap around, and you could specify that both of these are wrapping around. And variable can only have one setting, and variable is where you want to have a different thickness for something. So I'm going to make the concrete precast panel variable. So if I do that, I won't see any change in my model here. Let me bring them both up so we can look at them both. I'll do a window tile and I'll close the. Close that one, right? So we've got this is us looking at it in 3D, and this is us working on it down here. So here, if I pick this on the properties, it's by default it's going to be vertical, but I could say that it's to be slanted. And if I say it's slanted, then I can change this angle to say how much is the slant. So I'm sloping that at 10 degrees, and you can see it up here that it's sloping out. You could do plus or minus. I'm going to do a Control Z to undo. I'm going to select it again. And I'm going to say that I want it to be tapered. So remember, only one of the materials can be tapered, and that was the concrete part of it. So I can enable the angle here, and I could do it be from either side of the concrete. So if I did something like, say, 10 degrees and 10 degrees here, you see what it's doing is it's got the height from the top of the wall is the width, and then the angle at the bottom is what's being set here. So that would be a tapered wall. There used to be an option where so that's off. And if I did that as, say, 20 degrees there, I'll do it on the other side. It's just tapering on this, and that would be my, if I expand this or close this. I should be able to show it as realistic or show it just textures. Realistic. So that's visual graphics. That's not really rendering, but you can kind of see that I got this. If I do render, I should have changed that to inside. Not very easy to see. Okay, I'm going to close that out. I've got a graphics card issue here. It's not behaving properly. The last option here was to show the modeling of a more complex wall, and its options that exist under architecture, under component, this model in place. So what you're doing is you're actually creating a mass, which is a bit more like something that would be created in Rhino. It's got a complex curved surface. You would tell it here that what you're going to do is create a mass family, in place mass family like that. And then the message from Revit is just, hey, I'm turning on the display of masses, because normally they're switched off. And whatever we want to call it. And I'll just call it mass for curved wall. Right, so click on OK. And then what I'm going to do is actually use the options that are up here to create the mass itself. So these drafting symbols, you could draw any shape. We're going to do like a serpentine wall. You know, a spline where the points that you give are like poles and the path is running through the poles, or a spline with a smooth curve, which is more like a slalom race where you're going between the poles. Doesn't really matter which. I'm gonna choose this and just show that I can come in and create a path. So I'm going through those points. You see that it's turning and running through the points like this. And then I can hit escape. So when you have drawn the sketch, this option does different things. If you're drawing a closed shape, it would do an extrusion. If I've just got a simple line, it's going to just extrude that line up to give me a surface. So when I click on create me a solid form or a void form, it's going to be a solid form. It's going to go straight up. And then you select them and then you click on the create form. So there, what I'm doing is picking it and saying, create me a solid form. So if I look at that, then I'll say finish it, which is, the message is just saying, it's not, because this is just a line, it's not got a volume. That was what the message was all about. If I look at this in 3D, so I'm going to go down and look at this here. I've got on the bottom of this, if I hit the bottom there and I say edit in place, don't know what that is. Hold on. Pick that and say edit in place. Elements have duplicate type marks. Did I maybe, no, I don't know what that's about. Hold on. So let me just ignore it. So I'm going to do edit in place. Okay, and then I'm going to pick the object on the bottom, and you see here that what I could do is I could drag that line out a bit to give it a slope. Not going to make it too complicated. I'm just going to Control Z to go back. But the point here would also be that dragging on these, I could adjust the height of this mass and make it a bit smaller, so we can see it there. If I had done that with multiple points, I could be dragging out individual points, but this is just the curved line that was created. And what I want you to see is if I say I'm finished with the mass, it's now showing in here. And the reason for creating it is that under Massing in Sight, these tools are that you can superimpose a roof or a wall or a floor on a mass form. So what we're doing here is we're saying we want a wall by face. Then we can choose our wall. I'm just going to pick something that's got a brick in it. So I think there's a brick, exterior wall brick, 4-inch brick, like that, something like that. So what I can do is select that, and it's going to show it on the surface of this. So you've actually got a mass, and on the mass you've got the floor, the wall itself. If I do VG just to show you, so this is normally switched off. When you do, so that would be like show me masses and don't show me masses, but it's a little more complex than that because you can also pick the mass form there, and you can be hiding it or changing it. So I'm going to pick it, and I'm going to say edit in place again. I'm just going to pick the top so you can see if I select that. I'm going to push this back a bit. And there's a connection between the mass form, which is this thing here, and the object that was created on it. So if I select the object that was created on it, it recognizes that it was attached to the mass form. So when you say update to face, it's actually going to move to go back and join that itself.